All right, thank you so much today for joining us with our webinar today, or part of our back to school series, getting started with CodeHS. Today we have Jack here. He's going to be presenting. My name is Leanne Grant, and I'm a PD specialist here at CodeHS. Can you go on to the next slide, please? What I'm going to do is I'm going to drop a link to the slides for you in the chat if you would like to follow along. Otherwise, you'll have them for future reference. Like I said, my name is Leanne. We have Jack. When we are getting into the actual things of the webinar today, we're going to be talking about some course goals and figuring out, based on what you need to teach or a lot of different factors, what is the best course that's going to be good for you. We are going to talk about the course catalog. We're going to talk a little bit about setting up courses and sections and customization, and we're going to talk about some courses that we have at CodeHS as well. So that's what our agenda is going to look like. Can you go on to the next slide, please? And that is our agenda, sorry. Next one. Because we are kind of smaller today, we're going to say don't worry about the Q&A. If you have any questions, I did open up chat for everyone in the webinar chat, so go ahead and put your questions in the webinar chat, and I will be monitoring that for you today. All right, is there anybody here today that does not have a CodeHS account? If you don't, you can very easily sign up for a free teacher account by going to this link that I just dropped into the chat. And when you do sign up for an account, you would want to use your teacher email, because we do manually verify all teachers who sign up for CodeHS, just to make sure there's not students faking to sign up. But all of our information and all of our curriculum is all free for teachers to be able to use. If you are part of CodeHS already, then what we'll have you do is go ahead and sign in as well. The link that I'm going to give you right now for the certificate of completion, you do have to be signed into your CodeHS account for it to be able to work. And so what you're going to do is you're just going to click on the link. All you have to do is click on it once, and you don't have to worry about anything else. It will end up emailing you a certificate of completion for today's webinar. Okay. All right, so what is CodeHS? Before we get started, if you're not familiar, CodeHS is a comprehensive platform for teaching computer science. We have K through 12 web-based curriculum, and it's all computer science curriculum. In addition, we have AI, we have cybersecurity, we have a lot of different curriculum that is available to you from all the way from K through 12. And so with the addition of our elementary schools, our elementary curriculum in the last couple years, we have many districts that are actually teaching and using CodeHS all the way from kindergarten through 12th grade, which is amazing. We are an online platform, meaning it's fully software based. We have tons of teachers tools, we have resources, but you don't have to have any additional plugins to be able to do most of our courses. A couple of our courses require outside things, but the majority of all of our curriculum, everything is completely web-based. We obviously do have our online and our offline professional development. You're here today. It's part of our free back to school or free webinars that we host all year long. And on to the next slide. We do have instant feedback and submission systems for students. We have lots of grading and tracking tools for teachers if you are interested in that. And like I said, we are fully web-based. So having said that, I am going to hand it over to Jack, and he can introduce himself and he will get started.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jack Hassler. I am a computer science teacher and admin at a small all-boys boarding school outside of Philadelphia. And I've been teaching for the last 8 to 10 years, but I've only been teaching computer science for the last 5. One of the reasons why I love CodeHS is about 5 years ago, I was teaching history and a little bit of statistics, and someone turned to me and said, "The computer science teacher just quit. Can you teach computer science?" And I had just a little bit of background in computer science in college, and certainly I never intended to teach it. So I searched around, and in addition to some very dusty textbooks in the back of a closet that proclaimed to be cutting edge Java from, 2003 or something. I found CodeHS, and it was a phenomenal resource to me that first year of teaching, and I really sort of dived into it over the last 5 years, and I've taught a whole bunch of different courses using it, including cybersecurity, the two AP courses, AP CSA and AP CSP, and a few of the like 1 hour of code courses that I'll touch base on in a second. But they offer way, way more than that. I've taught probably, I think, three of the classes on this screen, but they have a ton of courses available. And what's great about it is, if you even if you see a course that you might be like, I don't really know myself what much about video game design or anything like that. These are things that, if you want to, you can knock out in a month or so on your own, and then be, at least ready to take a stab at teaching it the following year. So I did all of my learning in Python, but a lot of my guys really wanted a course an AP course in Java. And I used CodeHS to teach myself Java one summer, and then sort of dove into teaching that class. But when you're choosing a class, it's really important to think about what your goals are for the class. Where, most of us are probably going to be teaching at least one introductory computer science course. I know that's on my plate every single year. But one of the things that my high school has really sort of focused on more recently is offering shorter trimester long or quarter long courses in specific topics like cybersecurity and web design. Right now, I'm using parts of, and I'll talk about how you can use parts of a course in a second, but I'm using parts of the physical computing with Arduino course to really teach an in-depth class in the physical nature of computers and how all the parts fit together, and binary and bits and logic gates and all of that fun stuff. And this winter, I'm teaching a class all on cybersecurity and artificial intelligence, again, mostly using CodeHS in addition to, my year-long introductory computer science courses. And I really found that it's rare that I think of something and I can't find a unit on it or a subject in CodeHS that sort of addresses that point. So in addition to timing, it's always important to think about sort of the type of class that you're interested in, what the difficulty is, and what the standards are. I've had students that, they want that AP curriculum, and I've taught those AP classes that really have to align to the AP expectations. And CodeHS offers a bunch of courses that do that, and the labs for that as well. But I've also had guys that never have taken computer science before, and they have to be sold on it a little bit. And they certainly don't want a class where they're going to have to do a crazy ton of work. And so those classes, right, CodeHS has the platform for that as well, for those guys that are just getting started, just getting their feet wet. I never got a chance to take computer science in high school, and it was one of the things that, I look back and I'm like, man, I grew up when I should have had that access to that. And I know there are a lot of guys and a lot of students these days that still don't have access to a computer science course in high school, and I'm just glad that we're all moving towards fixing that. CodeHS, I teach at an independent school that doesn't have to worry about this as much, but if you teach at a public school, or your independent school is working towards state standards, CodeHS does maintain state pages for each of the states and their expectations around computer science education. And then I'm going to jump off the slides real briefly just to show you this page in real life. And I was just doing some searching myself, but this is the course catalog, and you can just get to it by going on the left here down to the course catalog button right there. And you can skim through everything, all the courses that CodeHS offers. If you go down far enough, you'll get into the state-based courses, I believe. But they have everything. They identify the level, how many contact hours it is, right, and what sort of time frame you might expect to be teaching it in. I've used portions of these courses for middle schoolers that just need to basic intro explainer on what responsible web surfing is, all the way up through, again, those intense AP courses. What I love is the syllabi and the units. You can just click on them, you take a look at them. You don't have to commit to teaching the class. You don't have to commit to, you don't have to pay anything for it, right? All these are free resources for you. I don't know why you would do it, but you could, click on the syllabus and steal some of that stuff without technically, creating a course on CodeHS. I think the best parts of it are on CodeHS, so I don't know why you would do that, but you could if you wanted to. Jumping back into the slides. So full disclosure, I've only taught sort of assemblies and individual meetings to middle schoolers. I haven't taught a full course, but that is actually Leanne's specialty. But at CodeHS, they have these different units that you can sort of mix and match into your middle school class, which really ups the customization options in terms of really speaking to your students and what they need. I have the Hacker Carol mug right here, but um, CodeHS has Carol the dog and Tracy the turtle. And one year I taught with Tracy the turtle, and all the guys were like, love Tracy, kept talking about Tracy. And one day I walked in with a quiz, and I said, guys, it's quiz time. And they turned to me and said, nah, Tracy wouldn't do us like that, Doc. They wouldn't do it. Uh, Tracy did not come through for them that day, but they absolutely love these characters that they learn to code with. Um, I don't know, Leanne, if you're more of a expert on this stuff than I am, if you wanted to add to that.
In our course catalog, we have a lot of different middle school courses that you can choose from. This is just one, the very first example. The Mix and Match Middle School course has 10 different individual modules, each is 10 hours apiece. And I put the associated grades here with them that they're recommended for. That way, why it's called mix and match is obviously you can mix and match and put these in any order possible. The only one we do suggest to be in order is Carol Adventures 1 and 2. Other than that, anything can go in any order. I do want to point out we have a brand new, as of like last week, new middle school module is called Exploring Data and Spreadsheets. And when you're in the course, it's going to be for this year in the supplemental material at the very bottom. But then it's the beginning starting next year, the next school year, we will add it to the mix and match course as an actual module. So there'll be 11 mix and match modules in this specific course. On the next slide, it does talk about computer science explorations 1 and 2. These two courses are the mix and match modules, but they're in a specific order. So we took them and said, oh, you know what, for our 6th grade and our early middle school, computer explorations 1 is perfect. And this is the order that they should teach them in. And then for maybe 7th grade, computer science explorations 2, starting with that exploring programming with Carol and then working into those other modules, this is perfect for them. And so it is the same content. It's just if a teacher wants something in what order should I teach these in, this is what this is made for you specifically. And then lastly, on the last slide for middle school, we have a lot of different middle school courses, and this is just a sampling, but we do have a couple new courses that within the last couple years that have come out. We have a brand new Python Basics with Tracy 1 and 2 course. That course is a full year long, but we've also broken it into 1 and 2, which are semester long courses. So if you wanted to teach it in a 7th grade and an 8th grade instead of a full year 8th grade, that is a possibility too, depending on your timing. We know that middle school teachers have different time frames that they teach in. They're not necessarily full year-long courses a lot of times. So we do want to give those options. The other 2 courses are an introduction to game design with P5 Play, and then our web design course that's specific for middle school students. It's our Kahlo flavor. Both of them are also semester courses as well. And the course overview with the slides, you can click on any of those and they are available in our course catalog.
And high school is where I live most of my life. So there are a ton of great courses for high school. What I typically do is I teach at least one course a year that can be advanced placement. So I've taught at times AP, CSA, and CSP, the computer science A and the computer science principles course. Typically, when I teach it, I don't require my guys to take the advanced placement exam, although most choose to. Um, so in terms of the CSP, this is the AP Computer Science Principles courses. CodeHS offers about 4 different distinct year-long courses. I have taught the APCS Principles in Python course before, but they also offer it in JavaScript, and then they offer the cybersecurity and in Roblox. So you really have a lot of options for how you want to go about teaching this content. It is all College Board approved, which is really nice because if you've ever signed up for an AP class before, you know that you have to submit a syllabus, and if you create your own syllabus, it has to be AP approved, and there's a whole process for it. But you can also choose to just submit CodeHS's syllabus, and as long as you haven't deleted parts of it, you are going to be fully approved to teach that AP class, which is really, really nice. Because I know like I teach one AP class a year, right? I'm not like living in the AP world. As some, if you're a teacher at a huge public school, you might have 4 sections of an AP class. But in general, right, it's only going to be 1 or 2 of your sections each day. So it's nice to have all of that stuff just built in for the class for you. I teach mostly the APCSA course, right? So this is the really heavy programming class that focuses on a real deep dive into Java. They used to have a computer science B course, but that went away. So the folks at CodeHS have created a couple of different versions for this one, which are Nitro and Mocha, and I've used both before. The Nitro course is the one that really closely aligns with what the AP wants. It has all of the same units in the exact same order of what the AP wants. I will say, though, that it is usually a pretty steep learning curve in those first couple of weeks. So I have had students, I say guys because I teach in an all-boys school, but I've had students that have joined the class before and been like, I don't know about this one. I don't know if this is for me. And usually that's always a conversation to be like, no, I think you can hack it. I think you can manage it. Mocha is the sort of older style, if you will, of the APCSA course. But it covers all of the same information. It has all the same stuff that you need to know. It's really the order of the units that's different. But the AP exam does require these labs. And so those are all built into the AP CSA labs section. And what I really like about it is you can go ahead and assign individual labs whenever you want out of that separate course. So you don't have to worry as much about, keeping it exactly on track necessarily. Especially when I get students that are in the AP class, but maybe aren't planning to take that AP test. I can use that to play with things and say like, look, it's really important to me that you hit these learning goals, but we don't have to worry about you hitting all of these really advanced labs necessarily. And so it really helps when it comes to modifying things in the classroom, working especially with students that have any sort of learning difference whatsoever, to be able to say like, we're going to take this in, we're going to sub this in, we're going to take this out. You still have all that ability. And then as all of my AP takers will attest to, the review course is absolutely phenomenal because they will get to a week out from that AP exam and they'll turn to you and say, I can't go through all of the units of Nitro in 1 week. And I say, I couldn't do it either. Here's the review section. And some of them I'll say, don't worry, you'll be great. And some of them I'll say, do your very best with this review. Um, but no, I think the way they've gone about the AP courses is phenomenal, especially because the way that computer science changes year to year, and there's no textbook that's really going to stay relevant for that long. So having everything online and having all that content right at your fingertips is really, really helpful. There also are year-long high school courses that are not advanced placement. I've taught the Intro to Python programming course once or twice, and I've actually never taught the Intro to Java course. But they're all great sort of first dive into programming if you're at the high school level. The Intro to Python programming course, Leanne, does it still have Tracy the Turtle as the main character for the first?
Um, this one, you know what? Let me click on the thing because I don't remember if it's Carol or not.
I remember, so when I taught a couple years ago, it was Tracy the Turtle centric. But as I mentioned, this is, you can take anybody for this course from 10th grade to my school has postgraduates that are, doing a victory lap year. And it's a great option for, getting involved in computer science, without really feeling like you're overwhelmed in any way. You really just start out with helping Tracy find her way in a strange environment, and then before you know it, right, you've got loops down, you understand recursion, you understand functions, all of the key stuff. And the students will turn to you at the end of the year and be like, I don't know how I did that. I don't know how I got there.
The Intro to Python programming course is actually Carol in Python. It is not Tracy. And the reason we did that is because it's very similar to then the JavaScript one. And so you use a lot of the same information. So Carol works in the Python world just as Carol works in the JavaScript world.
Um, both Carol and Tracy are awesome, by the way. I have no favorites. Um, And then there's a bunch of other stuff that you can use as well. And one of the things that I love about all of this is you can take pieces that you want along the way. And I will even use pieces of some courses for classes that are not CodeHS focused. So I do occasionally teach a statistics class. And when I teach the statistics class, I might not do it all in CodeHS, but I will sometimes pick up pieces from their data science focused courses, and maybe I'll only do one unit out of it and say, hey, we're just going to sign up for the class for this one unit, and all my students will sign on and we'll work through the unit together. But it really is a fantastic resource, whichever class you're teaching, and whether, right, so this is the Python pathway here. So if you were going to introduce a sort of year after year progression for your students and you wanted to focus on Python, this one would be, start everybody off with the intro class, jump them into the AP, and then they would have the options of mixing in the data science in Python, especially if you offered semester-long courses. And then I sometimes I'll just use stuff from the AI and cybersecurity courses for, like, I'm teaching the trimester class later this year that'll use pieces of that as well. If you want to stick with the web development side of things, they also have a similar pathway for students that has multiple year-long courses that focus on basics of web design, as well as sort of the just intro course in JavaScript, followed by web development and mobile apps. I often find that the thing my students want to jump straight into is mobile apps. They all have this idea that we're going to sign up for a computer science class and just by the end of it, I'm going to have an app that's, number 7 on the App Store, and I'm going to be a billionaire. I always tell them, remember, right? If you turn into a computer science billionaire, remember where that came from and kick me back my 10%. Um, but these are also phenomenal resources. I haven't usually taught these myself as year-long courses, but I do have, especially some of my more artistically gifted students that really want to jump into the design side of things. I'll say, hey, right, I'll fire up a web development class over here, enroll you as a student, and you can just play around in it, right? You can just work through some of this material. I'll give you feedback as you go, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be stuff that I'm formally assigning day after day or week after week. This is something, the cybersecurity pathway, I use a lot in a lot of my classes. One of the things we as a school have really tried to do is make sure that our students are very cognizant of their behavior online and what it means to be, secure, make sure that, your identity is secure online, that you're practicing safe web surfing habits on the regular. I use elements of the fundamentals of cybersecurity in a lot of my courses. Some of them actually also come packaged into some of the introductory courses, which is really nice. And then for the more advanced students, there are these advanced options as well. If they're interested in the AP class or the advanced cybersecurity class. I've actually had one student that's made it to the advanced level, but they loved the content, some of the content that they worked on in that class. And then finally, right, we have these physical computing courses. I'm using pieces of one of these, the high school with Arduino one right now. But these are great for the folks that want to focus on a more engineering bent, really explore, the physical pieces of the computers. And you can integrate a lot of this stuff with the same type of thing that you might do without CodeHS. Like one of the things I always do at the beginning of every computer science course is I go into the old storage closet with computers from God knows when that won't turn on anymore, and we just break them open, right, and take out all the pieces and take a look at how everything fits together. Um, but these are great for the students that are really interested not just in how you program or how you think about these things on a software level, but really looking at the hardware as well. Um, I can't say enough good things about CodeHS's hours of code, I should say, I guess. So at my high school, we have an expectation that every teacher is going to lead a couple of assemblies throughout the year for the whole school. And whenever I lead an assembly, I almost always do it on use an hour of code to do it. And so hour of code sports. A lot of guys at my high school do basketball and soccer. And so I will often work in that one, but I'll do about two or three of these a year for the whole school. I'll sign them all up. They'll jump on in. By the way, my school is like under 200 students, so it's not like crazy to do one of these with everybody. And usually they don't have to have any background in computer science whatsoever. It's often block coding, which means they can just sort of move the blocks around and play around with it. But I get a lot of really positive feedback, and a lot of the students that wind up in my computer science courses later on say, "Hey, I did that because of that hour of code we did last year." And I'm like, awesome, that's great. So these are really, really useful sort of quick hits. Sometimes the limited interaction I've had with our middle school has been going in and doing some of these hour of code because unfortunately right now we don't have computer science as a year-long class for our middle schoolers. But what I will sometimes do is take over someone else's class for a day or two and just do some of these hour of codes with them. And it's usually a really positive experience. In terms of managing your courses and sections, what I really like, if you've had any experience with learning management systems in the past, whether that's Blackboard or Moodle or Google Classroom or anything like that, um, CodeHS is like that, but even simpler, right? So you can go ahead and create your course for any of the courses you want. You go ahead, name your class whatever it is, and I can usually name it something like Mr. Hassler's uh, you know, intro to computer science or something really simple like that. And then I usually just take the template full bore, but you can start from scratch and add individual pieces to it if you want to. And then once you've created the course, you can start adding, and you can see, right, you're adding the course here. But once you've created the course, you can start adding individual sections if you have multiple sections of the same course. And once you've created the sections and named each section, so usually mine are just section, whatever period of the day it is, B period or D period or whatever. Once you've named the section, you can go ahead and either import stuff from Google Classroom, that'll import over all of the people that were in the Google Classroom. And then once you've started doing that, you can go ahead and start inviting students to your course. And when you do that, you can do it a couple of different ways. You can add their emails one at a time, which I usually don't do because it takes a lot of time. But you can add their emails one at a time, but you can also use the class code the same way if you've got experience with Google Classroom, you would do on Google Classroom and just say, go to CodeHS, make an account, put in this class code. And usually when I give out a syllabus at the beginning of the year, that class code is right there at the top in nice big bold letters. And I'll usually just throw it up on the board the first day of class as well. And the students all go ahead and enroll. You can also send around a link, which is usually the codehs.com/go/that class code. Send it out to your whole class if you do have a Google Classroom or another learning management system. My school uses RenWeb, and you can just go ahead and email your class all at once with the code, and they can click on it and sign up. And once they're in the class, they can really see everything, and you can start managing things day to day using your roster. And so it really at this point comes down to just how much you want to do. I know when I have smaller classes, I sometimes won't even worry about officially assigning things because I can just turn to them and say, all right, tonight for homework, we're going to do section 1.6 and we're going to watch the video and da 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 da. But especially if I've got a larger class of, 20 students or something, I'll make sure to be carefully assigning everything so that even students that are out that day or whatever get a chance to go ahead and see what we're working on. One thing I will note before I move on to the customization, there are multiple different ways you can teach a CodeHS class. One of my favorite things to do is sort of the flipped classroom model, where each exercise in CodeHS does come with a video as well as multiple choice and exercises and examples. And what I'll usually tell my guys, my students is, yeah, go ahead, watch the video tonight for homework, do the multiple choice. I'm going to check that multiple choice for your homework. And when you come in, we're all going to work together on these exercises. And I'll usually do that for at least the first month or two so that students aren't getting stuck, right, on the exercises at home and feeling like, oh, I'll never be able to do programming or computer science. And then as they get more comfortable with it, then I'll start saying, all right, and now we're going to do this exercise tonight for homework. In terms of customization, I'll go through this pretty quick. There's a full webinar exclusively on this topic where they jump into it for 45 minutes. And I think, Leanne, you said you were going to drop the link into the chat for everybody. But so you can mess with pretty much anything you want in CodeHS at your own peril. You can go ahead and reorder modules if you want within the same course. So in this one, you've got programming with Carol challenges, JavaScript and graphics, but you can flip things around if you want to. You can take things out, and I've done this at times, especially if I've got a class that I'm like, you know what, we're just not quite there for this one exercise, or I only, we're running out of time for this unit and I only want to go over 2 exercises instead of 4. You can take out individual exercises if you want to. You can take out entire units if you want to as well. And you can go ahead and assign content right from the course catalog into your existing course. You can copy stuff in, and I'll do this a lot when I say get to the end of the year and I've got extra time, right? If I've gotten ahead of myself somehow, I've got an extra 2 weeks in my syllabus, I'll say, all right, guys, let's take a vote. Do we want to do, and I did this last year, do you want to do artificial intelligence? Do you want to do cybersecurity? Do you want to do physical programming? Like, what do you want to do here? And we take a vote, and I go ahead and I copy in a unit, and we just jump into that unit together. Yeah, sorry, same stuff here. And you can go ahead and select out individual projects and different assignments as well. So if you are teaching that AP Nitro course, you can go ahead and select in labs if you want to, in addition to creating a separate course for the labs and just enrolling students in that course as well. So you can go ahead and slot them in whenever you want to in the course when you're ready to tackle that material. You can also, and I do this a lot in terms of adding your own materials. So if you have worksheets or you've taught computer science before and you have things that you really want to add in, you can go ahead and add those in and upload them. The thing that I do a lot is creating my own quizzes. I'll go ahead and create my own quiz for the students in CodeHS, and I'll make it live like right at the beginning of class, and I'll say, hey, you've got 20 minutes or 25 minutes to just tackle this exercise. And you get the students get a chance to jump right into it, and you can sort of watch in real time as they work on the assignments. And it's still in CodeHS. You don't have to worry about paper or killing trees or anything like that. So yeah, similarly, right, if you want to assign individual problems, you can go into the bulk of all the problems that are available in CodeHS, select out an individual course to assign them to, and then choose to assign that to one or all of your students. I mentioned it briefly, but one of the things I love about CodeHS is the ability to assign individual students a specialized curriculum, right? If you've got a student that's really struggling with one thing, you can go ahead and give them more practice. If you've got a student that's racing ahead, you can say, all right, bud, I'm going to give you a lot of more challenging stuff. Don't worry about what everyone else is doing. You've already done it, right? And you can go ahead and do something that's going to challenge you a little bit more. And similarly, if you've got any students with learning differences and you need to be making sure that the assignments you give them, right, they get extra time on or something like that, you can go ahead and modify that for them without really drawing attention to it, which is always nice in terms of confidence building as well. And so, yeah, sorry, I got ahead of myself, but you can create a lot of content. You can go ahead and ask students to do some more journaling, especially for the students that have been doing a lot of computer science. They will sometimes get offended when you ask them to slow down and write something. But it can be really, really productive to just listen to their responses and give them feedback on their just pure like English responses to individual assignments. And you can also integrate CodeHS with a bunch of other things like Flipgrid. I will sometimes create Kahoots and things like that for my students as well. You can add in polls and Quizlets as well and Kahoots if you want to straight into your course. And it really does become sort of this like from the admin side of it, the only thing that's frustrating is you can do literally everything in CodeHS. And then of course your admin is going to turn to you and say, but please put your grades over in this completely different system, right? But that all is usually the only limitation there is taking those grades out of CodeHS and putting them in your own system. Um, you can add your own modules, as I mentioned. So I'll sometimes just add a quiz module or add in a fresh module at the end of the year if we're ahead of schedule. And similarly, add in your own lessons when you want to go ahead and um, create something new or create a quiz or anything like that. And then I think this is where I pass it back over to Leanne. But if anyone has questions, I'm more than happy about my own experience teaching CodeHS. I'm more than happy to answer them.
What kind of questions do you guys have for Jack before we start to wrap up? You must be doing an amazing job because we don't have any questions coming through.
Awesome.
One of the things that I did want to show you guys, if you do want to get support on our platform, there's a couple different ways to do that. First of all, in the lower right-hand corner, whenever you are signed in, you're going to see that blue circle. That is our way to be able to chat with our support team. And we do have a live support team. We have a very small, it's not a very small company, we are growing, but we have a small company and the names and the pictures that you see there are real people. And usually when you click on it, I could tell you what their names are. I don't have it open in front of the platform open in front of me, but also on the left-hand side, we do have in the left navigation, we have a support category also with our support center app and our community app and our knowledge base app. Our knowledge base is a knowledge base of articles on how to do absolutely everything that there is to do on our platform. And so you could go there, you can search absolutely anything and how to do anything, and you will be able to get that from there. Also, if you do have any other questions, I did drop a link onto that one demo. He was talking about how to create your own course and modify your own course, but I also gave you a link for the 2-hour Getting Started with CodeHS webinar that we did this summer. So we did go through lessons and we gave examples and some tools and things that you can do as a free teacher. And then I'm going to drop you one more link here, and that link is our full webinar playlist. What that is all of the webinars that we've had this year so far are on that playlist, and I will continue to upload them every single time we have a webinar throughout the rest of the year. All right, to wrap up, love for you to take a little bit of time and fill out this. That is not the right link. Don't look at that link. It's actually codehs.com webinar survey. I don't know how that got in there. But it is a webinar survey, not workshop survey, webinar survey. And you can click on that and it will bring you to our current webinar. If you did get in here late, I did drop the certificate of completion earlier. I will do that again as well. What that is it'll give you a certificate of completion for joining us today. We have lots more back to school webinars coming up in September and October, so we are not done yet. Even though we are into the school year, we want to continue to support you. So we have some state-focused ones coming up specifically. We have another round of our APCSA and our APCSA CSP course checklist coming up, and we have some AI ones coming up for middle school and high school teachers. And then in October, we will also have an elementary one as well. If you are an AP teacher, though, we have something brand new that I want to show you on the next slide is we're going to start an AP CSA educator meetup, kind of like a PLC. And to be able to take part in this, we do ask that you do RSVP to that codehs.com link that I just sent to you. It will be on Tuesday, October 22nd at 6 p.m. Finally, the last thing that is going on awesome in our company is we are doing a road trip. We're doing a coast to coast road trip. We have a person in our company, Blake, that's going to be traveling throughout the whole United States. If you would like to request a visit for us to come to your school, you can do that by going to codehs.com/road trip, or you can use the QR code that is in the slides as well. I do want to thank you guys so much. If you're interested in ever bringing anything else to, as far as CodeHS to your school, whether you want to quote or for pro or whatever it is, you can use this link. It's codehs.com/learn more. You can, again, use all of our curriculum on the platform for free. But if you want more information, you can go to that too. So if there are no questions, we will wrap up. And I do want to say thank you so much, Jack, and thank you for attending today. You did an amazing job. Does anybody have any follow-up, any last minute questions for Jack or I before we log off? Not seeing anything. All right, thank you so much for coming today. Thank you for what you do for our teachers, and we will see you on our next webinar. Have a great day.